I've already signed the divorce agreement. When are you free to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau? Kira Lin looked at the man in front of her, her tone as calm as if she were discussing what to eat for dinner. The man sitting behind the desk suddenly raised his head, a flicker of shock passing through his deep-set eyes. He was Dane Ji-yu, the youngest commander in the military district, always composed and self-controlled, but now he was stunned by his wife's words. "Kira, what did you say?" Dane Ji-yu set down the documents in his hand, his voice slightly tense. Kira Lin gently placed the divorce agreement on his desk, a sarcastic smile curling her red lips. "I said, I agree to the divorce. Isn't that what you've always wanted?" Dane Gu's face instantly darkened. He had indeed brought up divorce yesterday, but it was only to scare her, to make her back off and stop pestering him about his affair with Zoe Song. He never expected that Kira Lin would actually agree. "Are you crazy?" Dane Ji-yu shot to his feet, his tall frame radiating an oppressive aura. "Kira Lin, do you know what you're saying?" Kira Lin looked at him calmly. Though her heart was in turmoil, on this very day in her past life, she had begged him through tears not to divorce her, even kneeling on the ground to plead for another chance. Back then, she thought that if she were humble enough, submissive enough, she could win back his heart. What was the result? All she got was endless humiliation and betrayal. Dane Ji-yu, for Zoe Song's sake, did not hesitate to push her off the cliff. Only in her final moments did she realize that the marriage she had desperately tried to protect was a joke from the very beginning. Zoe Song was already pregnant with his child, and she, the legitimate wife, was nothing but a laughingstock. Heaven gave her a chance to live again, and this time, she would never make the same mistake again. "I am perfectly clear-headed." Kira Lin adjusted her military green jacket. "Chief Ji-yu, since you have someone else in your heart, why should we drag this out any longer?" Dane Gu's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Who told you that I have someone else in my heart? Isn't that the case?" Kira Lin retorted. "Last night, Zoe Song called you, and you left me behind and ran off. This morning, you brought up divorce again. Are all these just my illusions?" Dane Gu's expression grew even more unpleasant. "Last night, Zoe Song did call, saying she was in the hospital and was very scared. Worried something might happen to her. He rushed over in a hurry, but that doesn't mean anything. Zoe is just my subordinate. Is there a problem with me checking on her when she's sick?" Dane Ji-yu suppressed his anger. "Kira Lin, don't be unreasonable, making a scene without reason." Kira Lin sneered. "Dane Ji-yu, do you think I'm a fool? Why is it that Zoe Song just happens to fall sick on our wedding anniversary, of all days, and why does she need you to stay with her the entire night?" Dane Ji-yu was left speechless by her words. Kira Lin continued, "And another thing, she's clearly a clerical officer, so why is she always by your side? Why does everyone in the military district know she's your personal secretary?" "Dane Ji-yu, do you think I'm blind?" Each word struck Dane Gu's heart like a knife. He knew that everything Kira Lin said was true, but he simply refused to admit it. In his heart, Zoe Song was indeed different, but he had never intended to betray his marriage. "You're overthinking it," Dane Ji-yu said coldly. "Zoe and I are completely innocent." "Innocent?" Kira Lin pulled a photo from her bag and tossed it lightly onto the table. "Then how do you explain this?" In the photo, Dane Ji-yu and Zoe Song were locked in a tight embrace, his hand gently caressing her cheek. Their posture undeniably intimate. Dane Gu's pupils contracted sharply at the sight of the photo. When was this taken? How could he not remember such a moment? "This photo is fake." He denied outright. "Fake?" Kira Lin sneered. "Dane Ji-yu, at this point, are you still going to lie? This was taken at the hospital last night. Have you forgotten? Zoe Song was crying and saying she was scared, and you held her like this to comfort her." Dane Gu's face turned ashen. "Zoe Song did cry last night. And he did comfort her, but it was definitely not as intimate as the photo suggests. The photo is clearly taken from an angle deliberately set up by someone." "Kira, let me explain." "No need to explain." Kira Lin interrupted him. "Dane Ji-yu, I'm tired. Since you have someone else in your heart, let's get a divorce. I won't hold you back, nor will I cause myself any more pain." After saying this, she turned around and was about to leave. "Stop." Dane Ji-yu strode after her and grabbed her wrist. "Kira Lin, do you think divorce is a game? You can just say it and it's done." Kira Lin looked back at him, her eyes showing no trace of attachment. Chief Ji-yu. You were the one who brought up divorce first. Now that I've agreed, you're unwilling. What exactly do you want? Dane Ji-yu was left speechless by her question. Indeed, he was the one who brought up divorce yesterday. But it was just a remark made in the heat of the moment. He never actually intended to divorce her. He opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. Just then, the office door was pushed open, and Zoe Song walked in holding a cup of tea. Seeing the entangled posture of the two, a hint of triumph flashed in her eyes, but it was quickly replaced by a look of grievance. Brother Dane, I made you some tea. Her voice was soft and sweet, full of a delicate, feminine fragility. Seeing Zoe Song, Kira Lin let out a cold laugh. In her previous life, it was this seemingly weak and harmless woman who had step by step destroyed her life. This time, she would never let her succeed again. Chapter 2. Seeing Zoe Song appear, Kira Lin wasn't angry at all. Instead, she smiled. In her previous life, she had seen this woman as an enemy, wishing she could tear her apart, but now she understood that the real enemy wasn't Zoe Song, but Dane Ji-yu, that heartless and ungrateful man. Just in time, Kira Lin let go of Dane Gu's hand and elegantly straightened her clothes. Comrade Song, you two carry on, I won't disturb you. Zoe Song was taken aback. This was completely different from what she had expected, based on past experiences. Kira Lin should have charged at her like a madwoman, tearing into her and starting a huge argument. Sister-in-law, Zoe Song stammered, her eyes filled with panic. Don't call me sister-in-law anymore, Kira Lin said with a faint smile. Soon, you'll be able to call Dane husband openly and honorably. Dane Gu's expression grew even more unpleasant. Kira Lin, what? Did I say something wrong? Kira Lin raised an eyebrow. You two are in love, and as the legitimate wife, I'm stepping aside. You should be thanking me. Zoe Song turned pale and quickly explained. Sister-in-law, you've misunderstood. There's nothing between me and Brother Dane. We're innocent. Innocent? Kira Lin sneered, pulling another stack of photos from her bag. Are these innocent too? The photos scattered across the floor, each one showing intimate moments between Dane Ji-yu and Zoe Song. Some were taken in the office, with Zoe Song leaning in close to Dane Ji-yu. Others showed the two sitting across from each other in the cafeteria, laughing and chatting, and still others were taken at the entrance of the military dormitory, where Zoe Song was seen tearfully tugging at Dane Gu's sleeve. Each photo tells the story of their unusual relationship. Dane Ji-yu looked at these photos, his expression turning extremely grim. When were these photos taken? Why did he have no memory of them at all? Where did these photos come from? He asked in a low voice. Why do you care where these photos came from? Kira Lin retorted. What matters is that they are all true, aren't they? Zoe Song looked at the photos on the floor, a flicker of panic flashing in her eyes. These photos were indeed fabricated by her on purpose. She had thought that Kira Lin would make a scene upon seeing them, and Dane Ji-yu would grow even more disgusted with her. Unexpectedly, Kira Lin remained so calm and even took the initiative to propose a divorce. This was definitely not the outcome she had wanted. She had gone to such great lengths just to force Kira Lin out and then rightfully take her place. If Kira Lin initiated the divorce, wouldn't that make her the homewrecker who destroyed someone else's family? Sister-in-law, these photos must be someone deliberately trying to frame us, Zoe Song said urgently. Brother Dane and I really have nothing going on. You can't get a divorce over this. Hearing Zoe Song's words, Kira Lin almost laughed out loud. In her past life, this woman hadn't said anything like that. Back then, she had cried and claimed she loved Dane Ji-yu so much it was killing her, begging Kira to let them be together. Now, on the contrary, she was advising her not to get a divorce. Comrade Song, that's an interesting thing to say, Kira Lin said, looking at her playfully. I'm divorcing my husband, and you're more anxious about it than I am. What's your role in this? Zoe Song was left speechless, her face turning red and then pale. Dane Ji-yu looked at Kira Lin, a sense of panic he had never felt before surging in his heart. Although Kira Lin was usually prone to jealousy, she had never been so sharp and sarcastic. Today, she seemed like a completely different person, so calm that it frightened him. Kira, can we talk about this at home? He lowered his stance, his voice carrying a plea he had never used before. Home. Kira Lin laughed as if she had heard the biggest joke. Chief Gu. Get this straight. We're about to get a divorce. What home is there to speak of? After saying that, she bent down to pick up the divorce agreement from the floor and placed it back in front of Dane Gu. I've signed everything I need to on this. I don't want a single penny of the property, and we don't have any children, so it's clean and simple. Whenever you come to your senses, just go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to finalize the paperwork. After she finished speaking, she walked away without looking back. Only Dane Gu and Zoe Song were left in the office, and the atmosphere was extremely awkward. Zoe Song looked at the divorce agreement on the table, feeling an inexplicable panic rising in her heart. The situation had completely spiraled beyond her expectations. Brother Dane, she called out cautiously, get out. Dane Gu said coldly without even looking up. Zoe Song was frightened by his icy tone, and tears instantly welled up in her eyes. Brother Dane, how could you treat me like this? I only care about you, that's why. I'm telling you to get out. Dane Gu suddenly looked up, his eyes filled with fury. Zoe Song, listen to me clearly. My wife and I don't need you meddling in our affairs. Zoe Song had never seen him so enraged before. She took a few steps back in fear, tears streaming down her face. But she refused to leave just like that. Biting her lip, she pretended to be strong and said, Brother Dane, I know you're upset right now, but your wife has really misunderstood. There's nothing between us. You can't just let these baseless accusations. Enough. Dane Gu stood up, his tall figure radiating a chilling aura. Zoe Song, I'm telling you for the last time. Get out. Zoe Song was quite intimidated by his imposing manner and didn't dare say anything more, so she could only withdraw resentfully. The office returned to silence as Dane Gu sat back in his chair, looking at the divorce agreement on the desk, his heart filled with mixed emotions. He had never imagined that Kira Lin would take the initiative to propose a divorce, let alone that she would be so resolute about it. Picking up the divorce agreement, he read it carefully. Kira Lin's handwriting was neat and elegant, every word written with care, without the slightest trace of hesitation. In the property division section, she wrote no demands. In the child custody section, she wrote no children. Simple and clear, clean and neat, without any unnecessary complications. Looking at this divorce agreement, Dane Gu felt an unprecedented sense of emptiness in his heart. Chapter 3. After leaving the military compound, Kira Lin went straight back to the home she shared with Dane Gu. It was a 3-bedroom, 1 living room apartment, simply but warmly decorated. Every piece of furniture, every ornament, had her effort poured into it. But now, as she looked at these familiar things, she felt nothing but a cold sneer in her heart. In her previous life, she had treated this place as her entire world. To protect this home, she could endure any humiliation. And what was the result? With just one word from Dane Gu, she was forced to leave with nothing, not even a single item that belonged to her. This time, she was determined to take back everything that belonged to her in advance. Kira Lin walked into the bedroom, took a suitcase out of the wardrobe, and began packing her things. She didn't bring too many clothes, only selecting a few of the more valuable ones. However, all of her jewelry and some personal items were packed inside. Most importantly, she retrieved a small wooden box from the depths of the wardrobe. Opening the wooden box, inside lay a USB drive and several property deeds. These were the private savings she had accumulated over the years. Dane Gu thought she was just a military spouse with no income, but in reality, she had long been running a business outside. However, she had always kept a low profile and never flaunted it in front of him. In her previous life, all these things ended up benefiting Zoe Song. This time, she was going to take everything back, leaving Zoe Song with nothing. While she was packing her things, there came a rapid knocking at the door. Kira, open the door. I know you're in there. It was Dane Gu's voice. Kira Lin checked the time. It was only 3 p.m. How did he get off work so early? It seemed her words had really gotten to him. The knocking grew more urgent, accompanied by Dane Gu's anxious voice. Kira, open the door. Let's talk this out properly. Kira Lin walked slowly to the door but did not open it. Chief Gu, what are you doing here? I'm here to take you home, Dane Ji-yu said from outside the door. Home? Kira Lin sneered. This is my home, or at least, it used to be. Kira, don't be like this. Dane Gu's voice was weary. Those photos were definitely planted by someone trying to frame us. You can't seriously want a divorce over this. Someone set me up. Kira Lin leaned against the door, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Dane Ji-yu, do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? I'm telling the truth, Dane Ji-yu explained urgently. Zoe Song and I really have nothing going on. Those photos are just a matter of angles or deliberately staged. Kira Lin felt a wave of disgust upon hearing his words. In her past life, she had been foolish enough to believe his lies, but in this life, she wouldn't be fooled again. Fine, even if those photos are fake, she said. Can you explain why Zoe Song is always by your side? Why do people in the military district think she's your personal secretary? Dane Ji-yu was left speechless by her question, and, Kira Lin continued, why is it that every time I want to spend time alone with you, Zoe Song always finds some excuse to interrupt us? These were all facts. And Dane Ji-yu couldn't deny them. It was quiet outside the door for a moment, then came Dane Gu's low voice. Kira, Zoe just needs my help with work, nothing more. Work? Kira Lin scoffed. Dane Ji-yu, do you really think I'm a fool? Zoe Song is a desk officer. Her work has nothing to do with you. What kind of help could she possibly need from you? Warming her bed, Kira Lin. Dane Ji-yu was provoked by her words. How could you think that way? What I think doesn't matter, Kira Lin said calmly. What matters is, I don't want to continue this marriage any longer. Dane Ji-yu, let's get a divorce. Outside the door, there was another stretch of silence. After a long while, Dane Gu's voice sounded again, this time with an unprecedented plea. Kira, will you give me a chance? I promise I won't let Zoe Song appear in front of us ever again. Hearing this, Kira Lin sneered inwardly. He had made the same promise in her previous life, and what happened? The very next day, Zoe Song showed up again. And this time she was pregnant. Dane Ji-yu, I don't care for your promises, she said coldly. We have nothing left to talk about. Kira, also, Kira Lin interrupted him. You'd better keep your Zoe Song in check. If she dares to show her face in front of me again, I can't guarantee what I might do to her. After saying this, the room fell silent once more. Dane Ji-yu stood outside the door for a long time, eventually having no choice but to leave helplessly. Kira Lin listened as the footsteps faded away, finally letting out a sigh of relief. She continued packing, placing all her important belongings into the suitcase. After finishing packing, she picked up her phone and dialed a number. Hello, is this Lawyer Wang? It's me, Kira Lin. A middle-aged man's voice came from the other end of the line. Ms. Lin, is there anything I can help you with? I want a divorce, Kira Lin said straightforwardly. Please help me prepare the relevant legal documents. Lawyer Wang was taken aback. Ms. Lin, are you and Chief Ji-yu getting a divorce? Yes, Kira Lin's tone was calm. I hope we can proceed with the relevant procedures as soon as possible. Alright, I understand. Lawyer Wang quickly adjusted his emotions. Are you available to come over now? We need to discuss the specifics in detail. Okay, I'll be right there. After hanging up the phone, Kira Lin dragged her suitcase and left the place she once thought was home. She didn't look back. Her steps resolute. This time, she was determined to completely leave the past behind. Chapter 4. Wang Law Firm is located in an office building in the city center, with a simple and professional decor. When Kira Lin pushed the door open, Lawyer Wang was already waiting for her. He was a middle-aged man in his 40s, wearing glasses and looking very experienced. Ms. Lin, please have a seat. Lawyer Wang stood up to greet her. You look well, not like someone who is about to get a divorce. Kira Lin sat down on the sofa and smiled faintly. Divorce is a relief for me, so of course I look well. Upon hearing this, Lawyer Wang was somewhat surprised. In his impression, Kira Lin should have been a very gentle military spouse, but today she seemed completely different. So, what was the reason for your divorce from Chief Ji-yu? He took out his notebook, ready to take notes. The relationship broke down, and it was impossible to continue the marriage. Kira Lin replied succinctly. Could you be more specific? Lawyer Wang continued to ask. Kira Lin took out those photos from her bag and placed them on the table. Are these specific enough? Lawyer Wang looked at the photos and frowned slightly. Can these photos serve as evidence? Of course they can. Kira Lin took out a voice recorder from her bag. There's also a recording here, where Zoe Song personally admits her relationship with Dane Ji-yu. She pressed the play button, and Zoe Song's soft, sweet voice came from the recorder. Dane, I know I shouldn't have fallen in love with you, but I can't help myself. You and your wife are only married in name. The one you truly love is me, isn't it? Then came Dane Gu's voice, though somewhat hesitant. He said, Zoe, you know we can't. I know, but I can wait. Zoe Song's voice was choked with tears. As long as you have me in your heart, I'm willing to wait. After the recording finished playing, Lawyer Wang's expression turned serious. Ms. Lin, this evidence is indeed compelling. However, I must remind you that military personnel require approval from their unit to get a divorce. I know, Kira Lin nodded. So I need you to help me handle these procedures. Attorney Wang nodded and then asked, so, regarding the division of property, do you have any requests? I don't want anything. Kira Lin's answer surprised Attorney Wang. The house, savings, other assets, I don't want any of it. Ms. Lin, are you sure? According to the law, you are entitled to half of the marital property. I'm sure. Kira Lin's tone was firm. I just want my freedom. Nothing else matters. Lawyer Wang looked at her, his heart full of doubt. In general, women would fight for as much property as possible. And it was rare to see someone like Kira Lin who wanted nothing. All right, since you insist, I will handle it according to your wishes. He continued writing the record. So, where are you currently living? Staying at a hotel for now, Kira Lin replied. If you don't mind, I can help you find an apartment. Lawyer Wang said, it's a friend's place, in a good location and reasonably priced. Kira Lin thought for a moment. Sure, thank you for your help. The two discussed some details further, and Lawyer Wang said he would handle the relevant procedures as soon as possible. By the time they left the law firm, it was already 5 p.m. Kira Lin walked down the street with her suitcase. Feeling more relaxed than ever before, she took out her phone and dialed a number. Hello, Manager Lee, this is Kira Lin. A young woman's voice came from the other end of the phone. Ms. Lin. You finally called. I thought you had forgotten about our company. How could I forget? Kira Lin chuckled. I just had some personal matters to take care of. Now that they're settled, I can fully focus on work. Great, Manager Lee exclaimed excitedly. Ms. Lin, did you know? Our company's performance last month hit a new record. Several major companies are already interested in collaborating with us. Hearing this news, Kira Lin felt even more delighted. Over the years, she had been secretly running a trading company specializing in import and export business. Thanks to her language skills and sharp business acumen, the company had been doing quite well. However, she had always kept a low profile and never mentioned any of this to Dane Ji-yu. That's good, Kira Lin said. I'll go to the company tomorrow, and we can discuss the next steps for development. All right, President Lin, I'll be waiting for you. After hanging up the phone, Kira Lin hailed a taxi and headed straight to the apartment recommended by Lawyer Wang. The apartment is located in an upscale residential area in the city center, with a very pleasant environment. The landlord is a woman in her 50s who is very kind. Young lady, you look very familiar, the landlord said, sizing up Kira Lin. Have we met somewhere before? Kira Lin smiled and said, maybe so. I lived in the military compound for a few years. Oh, I see. The landlady suddenly understood. No wonder she looks so dignified. Military spouses are just different. Hearing the term military spouse, Kira Lin's smile stiffened slightly, but she quickly returned to normal. Auntie, how much is the rent? 3,000 a month, with 1 month's deposit and 3 months' rent paid in advance, the landlady said. But since you were introduced by Lawyer Wang, I can give you a discount, 2,800 a month. Thank you, Auntie, Kira Lin agreed readily. After completing the rental procedures, Kira Lin finally had her own place. Although it was rented, she felt much more comfortable here than at Dane Gu's home. In the evening, she lay on the bed in her new house and took out her phone to check it. Dane Ji-yu had called over a dozen times, but she had hung up on all of them. He also sent many text messages, all of which essentially asked her to come home and said he wanted to talk things out with her. Kira Lynn read through them once, then deleted all the messages. She no longer wanted to hear any more of his explanations. Just as she was about to go to sleep, her phone rang again. This time, it wasn't Dane Gu, but an unfamiliar number. "Hello, sister-in-law, it's me, Zoe Song." A cautious voice came from the other end of the line. Kira Lynn raised an eyebrow. "Comrade Song, what brings you to call me so late?" Chapter 5. Zoe Song's voice sounded particularly aggrieved on the phone. "Sister-in-law, I'd like to meet and talk with you. Is that okay?" "Talk about what?" Kira Lynn's tone was flat, completely devoid of the hysterical anger from her previous life. This calmness made Zoe Song somewhat uneasy. According to her plan, Kira Lynn should have already broken down by now. Why was she so composed instead? "I want to explain my relationship with Dane to you," Zoe Song said. "Those photos really aren't what you think. It's all a misunderstanding." Explanation. Kira Lynn sneered. "Comrade Song, do you think there's still a need for an explanation?" Zoe Song grew anxious. "Sister-in-law, you can't divorce Brother Dane over these misunderstandings. You're husband and wife. You should trust each other." Hearing this, Kira Lynn almost laughed out loud. This woman's acting skills were as clumsy as ever. "Comrade Song, I'm curious," Kira Lynn said playfully. "Why are you more anxious than I am about my divorce from my husband?" I was just concerned about you," Zoe Song stammered. "Concerned?" Kira Lynn's tone grew even colder. "An outsider showing concern for someone else's marital relationship. Isn't that inappropriate?" Zoe Song was left speechless by her words. Kira Lynn continued, "Or do you have some ulterior motive?" "No," Zoe Song hurriedly denied. "I really just don't want to see you two break up over a misunderstanding." "All right, I'll give you a chance," Kira Lynn said calmly. "Tomorrow at 10 a.m., Starbucks on Coffee Street. Let's meet and talk." "Really? That's great." Zoe Song's voice was full of pleasant surprise. "Sis, I knew you were a kind person. Don't celebrate too soon." Kira Lynn's tone suddenly turned icy. "Zoe Song, I hope you'll tell me the truth tomorrow. Otherwise," she didn't finish her sentence, but the threat was clear. After hanging up the phone, Kira Lynn sneered. Did Zoe Song think she was still the same weak woman who was easy to bully from the previous life? This time, she would make this woman learn what it means to reap what one sows. The next morning, Kira Lynn arrived at Starbucks on time. She was wearing a black professional suit with light makeup, looking capable and elegant. Zoe Song was already waiting there. She was dressed in her usual white lotus style, a white dress with a ponytail, looking pure and innocent. "Sister-in-law, you're here." Zoe Song stood up to greet her, a cautious smile on her face. Kira Lynn sat down opposite her, her tone indifferent. "Go ahead, what do you want to say?" "Sister-in-law, I want to apologize to you first." Zoe Song lowered her head, her voice trembling with emotion. "It's all my fault. I caused misunderstandings in your marriage." "Misunderstandings?" Kira Lynn took a sip of her coffee. "Comrade Song, what part do you think was a misunderstanding?" "Those photos," Zoe Song looked up, her eyes brimming with tears, "were taken on purpose by someone trying to drive a wedge between us." "Who wants to drive a wedge between you?" Kira Lynn asked. Zoe Song was taken aback. She hadn't expected Kira Lynn to ask that. I don't know," she stammered. "You don't know?" Kira Lynn sneered. "Then how did you know someone was deliberately stirring up trouble?" Zoe Song was left speechless by her question. Kira Lynn continued. "Zoe Song, let me ask you, when did you start liking Dane Gu?" This question made Zoe Song even more flustered. I don't like Brother Dane, we're just colleagues." "Colleague?" Kira Lynn took the voice recorder out of her bag and placed it on the table. "Then how do you explain this?" She pressed the play button, and yesterday's recording came through clearly. "Dane, I know I shouldn't have fallen in love with you, but I couldn't help myself." Hearing her own voice, Zoe Song's face instantly turned deathly pale. What is going on?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Don't you remember what you said yourself?" Kira Lynn looked at her with a half-smile. "Impossible. When did I ever say those things?" Zoe Song shook her head desperately. Kira Lynn pressed another button, playing another recording. "Sister-in-law, I beg you, please let me have Dane." I really love him, and I'm willing to do anything, as long as you can let us be together. These were the words Zoe Song said on the phone last night. Zoe Song was completely stunned upon hearing this. That's impossible. I never said any of that last night. Really? Kira Lin put away the voice recorder. Then what did you say to me on the phone last night? Zoe Song thought about the content of last night's call and realized that the words in the recording were indeed not spoken, but the voice in the recording was unmistakably hers. How could this be, seeing her confused expression? Kira Lin sneered inwardly. These recordings were not from Zoe Song's conversation last night but were actually recorded in her previous life. Back then, Zoe Song had knelt before her, tearfully begging her to give up Dane Ji-yu. Who would have thought these recordings would come in handy in this lifetime? Zoe Song. Do you still have excuses now? Kira Lin asked coldly. Zoe Song was completely panicked. She didn't understand how these recordings had come to be. But the words spoken were indeed in her voice. Sister-in-law, I can explain, she said hurriedly. No need to explain. Kira Lin stood up. Zoe Song, this is my final warning to you. Stay away from Dane Ji-yu, otherwise, these recordings will be made public to everyone in the military district. With that, she picked up her bag and prepared to leave. Wait, Zoe Song hurriedly grabbed her. Sister-in-law, listen to me. Kira Lin turned around, her gaze as cold as a knife. Let go. Zoe Song was frightened by her look and involuntarily released her hand. Remember my words. Kira Lin gave her one last look. This is your final chance. Chapter 6. After leaving the cafe, Kira Lin went directly to her company. Lin's Trading Co., Limited, is located on the 18th floor of a commercial building in the city center. Although the office space is not large, it is tastefully decorated. The company primarily engages in import and export trade, with fewer than 20 employees. But each one is an elite professional. President Lin. The employees were excited to see Kira Lin arrive. Manager Lee quickly approached. President Lin, you've finally arrived. We've missed you so much. Kira Lin smiled and said, haven't I always been here? It's just that I've been dealing with some personal matters lately and haven't been coming to the office often. Ms. Lin, have you finished handling your personal matters? Manager Lee asked with concern. Almost done. Kira Lin nodded. I'll have more time to devote to the company's development from now on. Hearing this, Manager Lee and the other employees were very pleased. Although Kira Lin doesn't often come to the office, her business acumen and decision-making abilities are widely recognized. President Lin, I'd like to brief you on the recent situation. Manager Lee took out a stack of documents. Good, let's discuss it in the office. Kira Lin's office is spacious, with a simple yet elegant decor. A few calligraphy and paintings hang on the walls, and the bookshelves are filled with various business books. Manager Lee provided a detailed report on the company's recent performance and development. Kira Lin listened attentively, occasionally asking questions and offering suggestions. Manager Lee, you've done an excellent job. After listening to the report, Kira Lin was very satisfied. The company's achievements today are largely thanks to you. All of this is due to your excellent guidance, President Lin, Manager Lee said modestly. By the way, Kira Lin remembered something. I plan to expand and strengthen the company. What do you think is the biggest bottleneck right now? Manager Lee thought for a moment. I believe the main issue is funding. With sufficient funds, we could expand into more business areas and also recruit more talent. Money is not an issue, Kira Lin said calmly. I'm prepared to invest 20 million. Do you think that's enough? Manager Lee's eyes widened upon hearing this. President Lin, 20 million. Are you sure? Of course I'm sure. Kira Lin nodded. I have confidence in the company, and I have confidence in all of you. Manager Lee was so excited he didn't know what to say. 20 million was an astronomical figure for a small company like theirs. President Lin, rest assured, I will not let you down, he solemnly promised. The two of them discussed the company's future development plans in detail, and the meeting did not conclude until 5 p.m. As she left the company, Kira Lin was in high spirits. Her professional success further strengthened her resolve to get a divorce. She wanted to prove to everyone that she could live well even without Dane Ji-yu. Just as she was about to head home, her phone rang. It's an unfamiliar number. "Hello, MS, Lin. This is Attorney Wang." The voice of Attorney Wang came from the other end of the phone. "I have good news for you. The divorce agreement has been delivered to Chief Ji, and he has already signed it." Kira Lin was taken aback. "He signed it?" "Yes," Attorney Wang said, "and it was done very quickly. It was delivered this morning and signed by the afternoon. It seems Chief Ji is also very much in favor of this divorce." Upon hearing this news, Kira Lin felt a mix of emotions. She had thought Dane Ji would at least hesitate for a while, never expecting him to sign so quickly. "What do we do next?" she asked. "Please come to the Civil Affairs Bureau at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we will complete the final procedures," Lawyer Wang said. "Once the procedures are done, you will be completely free." "All right, I understand." After hanging up the phone, Kira Lin stood on the street, her emotions too complex to describe, from the decision to divorce until now. It has only been a few short days, yet everything has proceeded so smoothly. Dane Gu's quick agreement to sign left her with an indescribable sense of loss. Perhaps, in his heart, she truly held no weight at all. Just as she was thinking this, another phone call came in. This time, it was Dane Ji. Kira Lin hesitated for a moment but still answered. "Hello, Kira." Dane Gu's voice sounded weary. "Let's meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow morning and get this over with." "Okay." Kira Lin replied simply. "Also," Dane Ji paused, "I don't want the house or the savings. I'll leave everything to you." "No need," Kira Lin refused. "I don't want anything." "Kira," Dane Ji, "we've already made it very clear." Kira Lin interrupted him. "After we finish the procedures tomorrow, we'll have nothing to do with each other." After speaking, she hung up the phone. Standing under the setting sun, Kira Lin watched the bustling street, but instead of the expected sense of relief, she felt a void in her heart. Perhaps this is what it feels like to end a relationship, even when it's a choice you've made yourself. She took a deep breath and then walked forward with determination. At 9 o'clock the next morning, in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Kira Lin was dressed in a black professional suit with light makeup. Looking capable and elegant, she arrived 10 minutes early and waited at the entrance. At exactly 9 o'clock, a military green jeep pulled up at the entrance. Dane Ji stepped out of the car, still in his military uniform, looking handsome and upright, though a trace of weariness lingered between his brows. The two met at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, exchanged a glance, and said nothing. The process of handling the divorce was simple, filling out forms, signing, and fingerprinting. It was all completed in less than half an hour. The staff handed them 2 red divorce certificates. "Congratulations, all the procedures are finished." Hearing the word congratulations, both Kira Lin and Dane Ji found it deeply ironic. Kira Lin took the divorce certificate, glanced at it, and then put it in her bag. "Well, goodbye then," she said, nodding at Dane Ji before turning to leave. "Kira," Dane Ji called out to her. Kira Lin turned to look at him, her expression calm. "Is there anything else?" Dane Ji opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but in the end, nothing came out. "If there's nothing else, I'll be going now." After saying this, Kira Lin left without looking back. Watching her figure disappear into the crowd, Dane Ji stood in place for a long time without moving. They had been married for 3 years, but the divorce took less than half an hour. Chapter 7. After the divorce proceedings were completed, Kira Lin didn't go straight home. Instead, she went to a high-end beauty salon. She wanted to change her appearance and completely leave her past self behind. "Miss, what kind of hairstyle are you looking for?" the hairstylist asked. Kira Lin looked at herself in the mirror. The waist-length hair was Dane Gu's favorite. He had once said her long hair was beautiful and told her never to cut it short. "Cut it all off, make it short," she said without hesitation. The hairstylist was taken aback. "Miss, are you sure? Your long hair is so beautiful, it would be a shame to cut it." "I'm sure," Kira Lin said firmly. "The shorter, the better." 3 hours later, Kira Lin emerged from the beauty salon, completely transformed. She had gotten a sleek short haircut, dyed a subtle chestnut color. Paired with her delicate features and professional attire, she looked intellectual and elegant, with a stronger, more authoritative aura than before. While passing by the mall, she bought herself several new outfits. All professional attire, mainly in black, grey, and white, giving off a professional and commanding presence. By the time she returned to her apartment, it was already 4 p.m. Kira Lynn looked at herself in the mirror and nodded with satisfaction. This was the version of herself she had always wanted. Independent, confident, and reliant on no one. Just as she was about to take a break, the doorbell rang. She walked to the door and looked through the peephole. It was a woman she didn't recognize. "Who are you looking for?" she asked through the door. "Are you Ms. Kira Lynn? I'm Zoe Song." Zoe Song's voice came from outside the door. Kira Lynn sneered. This woman was really persistent, actually finding her way here. She opened the door and saw Zoe Song standing at the entrance, holding a fruit basket in her hand. "How did you know I live here?" Kira Lynn asked bluntly. Zoe Song looked a bit uncomfortable. I asked a few people before I found out. Is there something you need?" Kira Lynn showed no intention of inviting her inside. Ms. Lynn, Zoe Song corrected herself. "I heard that you and Dane have already divorced. I came to apologize to you." "Apologize?" Kira Lynn found it amusing. "Apologize for what? It's all because of me that you and brother Dane broke up." Tears welled up in Zoe Song's eyes. "I really didn't expect things to turn out this way." Watching her put on this affected display, Kira Lynn felt a wave of disgust. "Zoe Song, have you finished acting?" she said coldly. Zoe Song was taken aback. Lynn, what do you mean? Do you think I can't see through it?" Kira Lynn looked her up and down. "You didn't come here today to apologize at all. You came to show off. You want to tell me you've won, don't you?" Hit right at the core of her thoughts. Zoe Song's expression shifted slightly, but she quickly put on a hurt look. Lynn, you've misunderstood. I really just wanted to apologize. Is that so?" Kira Lynn took out her phone from her bag. "Then I'll call Dane Gu right now and tell him you came to see me. How does that sound?" Hearing this, Zoe Song panicked immediately. "Don't," she hurried to stop him. But it was too late. Kira Lynn had already pressed the dial button. The call connected quickly, and Dane Gu's weary voice came through. "Hello, Dane Gu, your Zoe Song has come to my house." Kira Lynn said bluntly. "You'd better handle her and make sure she doesn't bother me again." There was a brief silence on the other end of the line, followed by Dane Gu's stern voice. "Zoe is at your place?" "Yes, right at my door." Kira Lynn glanced at Zoe Song's pale face. "I don't want to get involved in your affairs, but if she harasses me again, I'll call the police. I'll be right there." Dane Gu hung up the phone after saying this. Hearing this, Zoe Song panicked. Lynn, how can you do this? I just wanted to." "Wanted what?" Kira Lynn interrupted her. "Wanted to see how miserable I am. Wanted to show off your victory." "Zoe Song, you've underestimated me." "I didn't." Zoe Song still wanted to argue. "Didn't?" Kira Lynn sneered. "Then explain how you knew my address, and why did you come all the way to find me?" Zoe Song was left speechless by the questioning. "And," Kira Lynn continued, "did you think I'd be miserable after the divorce? Let me tell you, I'm doing better than ever." She pointed to her new hairstyle and new clothes. "See? This is what freedom feels like." Zoe Song looked at Kira Lynn, a sense of unease welling up inside her. This woman was completely different from what she had imagined. Not only was she not dispirited by the divorce, but she actually seemed more confident. Lynn. She was about to say something else when footsteps echoed from downstairs. Soon, Dane Gu appeared at the top of the stairs. The moment he saw Zoe Song, his expression darkened immediately. "Zoe, what are you doing here?" His voice was cold. Zoe Song immediately put on a pitiful expression upon seeing him. "Brother Dane, I just wanted to apologize to Lynn." "Apologize?" Dane Gu sneered. "What do you have to apologize for?" Zoe Song was frightened by his attitude, tears falling down her cheeks. "Brother Dane, why are you treating me like this? How have I treated you?" Dane Gu's face grew even colder. "Zoe Song, I'm warning you, don't harass Kira again in the future, or don't blame me for being impolite." Kira Lynn watched the scene without any emotional fluctuation. In her past life, she would have been heartbroken by Dane Gu defending Zoe Song, but now she just found them ridiculous. "Don't drag me into your grudges and affections," she said indifferently. "Don't come looking for me again in the future." After saying that, she closed the door. shutting both of them outside. Chapter 8. The sound of Zoe Song's aggrieved crying and Dane Gu's low voice came from outside the door, but Kira Lin had no desire to listen. She put on her headphones and began handling the company's documents. The feeling of freedom is wonderful. No more wasting time on those tedious emotional entanglements. The next day, when Kira Lin went to the company, she unexpectedly ran into an acquaintance in the elevator, Director Lin. Kira Lin turned around and saw a man in his 30s, dressed in a sharp suit and quite handsome. She thought for a moment and recognized him. Mr. Chen. This was Chen Lin, her former university classmate, who was now the general manager of an investment company. They had been good friends in college but had lost touch after graduation. It really is you, Chen Lin said happily. I saw you just now and thought I might have mistaken you for someone else. You've changed so much. Is that so? Kira Lin touched her short hair. Maybe it's the hairstyle change. It's not just the hairstyle. Chen Lin observed her carefully. It feels like your whole demeanor is different, more confident. The elevator arrived at the 18th floor, and Kira Lin was about to get off. Is this floor your company? Chen Lin asked. Yes, Lin's Trading. Kira Lin nodded. What a coincidence. Chen Lin was excited. Our company is looking for partners. If you have time, we could discuss a collaboration. Kira Lin thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. Sure, when would be convenient? How about tonight? I'll treat you to dinner, and we can talk over the meal. Sure, Kira Lin did not refuse. The two agreed on a time and place before Chen Lin took the elevator and left. Kira Lin walked into the office, and Manager Li immediately came forward to greet her. President Lin. You seem to be in a good mood today, Manager Li said with a smile. Indeed, it's quite good. Kira Lin nodded. By the way, I might be collaborating with Stellar Investment Company. Please help me prepare the relevant materials. Stellar Investment. Manager Li's eyes lit up. President Lin. That's a well-known investment firm in the industry. If we can collaborate with them, it would be very beneficial for our company's development. That's what I thought too, Kira Lin said. So we must make sure this collaboration is successful. In the afternoon, Kira Lin specifically went home to change into a set of dark blue professional attire, paired with simple jewelry, looking elegant and professional. At 7 in the evening, she appeared punctually at the agreed-upon restaurant. It was a high-end Western-style restaurant with a very pleasant atmosphere. Chen Lin was already waiting for her there. Upon seeing her arrival, he immediately stood up. President Lin. You look truly beautiful today, he praised sincerely. Thank you. Kira Lin replied gracefully as she sat down. The two placed their orders and began discussing the collaboration. Chen Lin's company had the advantage of capital, while Kira Lin's company had the advantage of channels. Cooperation between the two sides could indeed achieve a win-win situation. Ms. Lin, I have great confidence in your company, Chen Lin said. However, I'm quite curious. Why did you choose to enter the trade industry? Kira Lin thought for a moment and answered honestly, because I have a talent for languages and a good understanding of the international market. Indeed, you were a top student in the foreign languages department back in college, Chen Lin recalled. By the way, are you married? When this topic was mentioned, Kira Lin's expression stiffened slightly, but she quickly returned to normal. Just got divorced. Oh, sorry. Chen Lin felt a bit awkward. I didn't mean to pry into your personal matters. It's okay. Kira Lin smiled faintly. Divorce was a relief for me, and I'm doing very well now. Chen Lin looked at her, a flicker of something passing through his eyes, but it was quickly concealed. The two continued to discuss the collaboration, and the atmosphere remained harmonious. Just as they were having a pleasant conversation, two familiar figures appeared at the restaurant entrance. It was Dane Jiyu and Zoe Song. Kira Lin frowned slightly upon seeing them. Why were they here? Dane Jiyu clearly noticed her too, and his expression immediately changed. His gaze shifted back and forth between Kira Lin and Chen Lin, a flicker of something in his eyes. Kira, he walked over. His tone somewhat unnatural. Kira Lin looked up at him, her tone flat. Mr. Jiyu. Noticing how she addressed him, Dane Gu's expression darkened even more. She used to call him Dane, but now she was calling him Mr. Jiyu. So distant. Are you two discussing something? He glanced at Chen Lin. Yes, Talking about work, Kira Lin replied briefly, then introduced to Chen Lin. This is my ex-husband, Dane Ji-yu. The term ex-husband made Dane Gu's face turn ashen. Chen Lin politely stood up. Hello, I'm Chen Lin. Dane Ji-yu nodded coldly, not extending his hand. The atmosphere became somewhat awkward. Zoe Song walked over at this moment. When she saw Kira Lin's new look, a hint of jealousy flashed in her eyes. But she quickly replaced it with a gentle smile. Miss Lin, you look beautiful today, she complimented insincerely. Kira Lin glanced at her but did not respond. Well, we won't disturb you anymore, Dane Ji-yu said stiffly, pulling Zoe Song to leave, but Zoe Song didn't want to go. She deliberately said loudly, Brother Dane, let's sit here and eat too, it's a good chance to chat with Ms. Lin. Hearing this, Kira Lin sneered, Sorry, we're discussing business, it's not convenient. After saying that, she said to Chen Lin, Let's find another place. Chen Lin immediately stood up. Okay, the two stood up and left, leaving Dane Ji-yu and Zoe Song standing there, watching Kira Lin's elegant departing figure. Dane Ji-yu felt an indescribable emotion welling up in his heart. Chapter 9. Kira Lin and Chen Lin moved to a quieter cafe to continue their business negotiations. Sorry for making you see me in such an awkward situation. Kira Lin picked up her coffee, her tone calm. It's all right. Chen Lin smiled slightly. But it seems your ex-husband still cares about you. Cares? Kira Lin sneered. If he truly cared, we wouldn't be in this situation today. Chen Lin sensed the bitterness in her words and didn't press further. Instead, steering the conversation back to work. 2 hours later, their intention to collaborate was basically confirmed. Chen Lin's company was willing to invest $50 million for a strategic partnership with Kira Lin's company. President Lin, a pleasure working with you. Chen Lin raised his coffee cup. A pleasure working with you. Kira Lin also raised her cup and gently clinked it with his. This collaboration was of great significance to her, not just an injection of funds, but also a recognition of her capabilities. When leaving the cafe, it was already 10 p.m. Chen Lin offered to take her home. Thank you, but that's not necessary. Kira Lin politely declined. I can take a taxi myself. It's so late, it's not safe for a woman to take a taxi alone. Chen Lin insisted. Let me take you, it's on my way anyway. Kira Lin thought for a moment and did not refuse again. Chen Lin's car is a black Mercedes, understated yet tasteful. In the car, the two chatted about some light topics. Chen Lin was very talkative and humorous, which put Kira Lin in a good mood. When they arrived at the entrance of the residential area, Kira Lin prepared to get out of the car. Ms. Lin, Chen Lin called out to her, if you don't mind, we could watch a movie together this weekend. Purely as a gathering between friends. Kira Lin paused for a moment. She could tell that Chen Lin had feelings for her. But she had just gotten divorced and wasn't ready to consider a relationship yet. Mr. Chen, thank you for the invitation, she said politely, but I just got divorced, and right now I just want to focus on my work. Chen Lin was a bit disappointed, but quickly adjusted his emotions. I understand. But if you change your mind, feel free to contact me anytime. Okay, thank you. Kira Lin nodded and got out of the car, watching her figure disappear into the residential area. Chen Lin sat in the car for a while before starting the engine and driving away. Kira Lin returned home, took a shower, changed into comfortable pajamas, and lay on the sofa to watch TV. This was the first time she had felt truly relaxed since her divorce. No one was urging her to come home. No one was questioning her whereabouts, and no one was getting jealous because she spoke to other men. The feeling of freedom is wonderful. While watching TV, her phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello. Ms. Lin, this is Zoe Song. Zoe Song's cautious voice came from the other end of the phone. Kira Lin frowned. What do you want now? I want to apologize to you. Zoe Song's voice was choked with tears. What happened tonight was all my fault. I shouldn't have deliberately acted that way in the restaurant. Oh. Kira Lin responded indifferently, showing no sign of forgiveness. Ms. Lin, I know you really dislike me, but I want to tell you a secret. Zoe Song's voice suddenly turned mysterious. What secret? Kira Lin was somewhat curious. It's about Brother Dane. Zoe Song said. He hasn't been doing well these past few days. He's been drinking every day and keeps murmuring your name. Hearing this, Kira Lin felt nothing inside. In her past life, she would have softened at such words, but now she wouldn't be fooled again. And then, she asked coldly, he also said he regrets it, Zoe Song continued. He said he never loved me and that the one he has always loved is you. Zoe Song, have you had enough of acting? Kira Lin finally couldn't hold back. Do you think such a clumsy lie can fool me? I'm telling the truth, Zoe Song hurriedly explained. Brother Dane really regrets it. He wants to win you back. So what? Kira Lin sneered. I don't love him anymore. This statement left Zoe Song stunned. She had thought that Kira Lin would soften upon hearing these words. Would consider getting back together with Dane Ji-yu, and then she could continue playing the victim. Unexpectedly, Kira Lin actually said she no longer loved him. You don't love Brother Dane anymore? She asked in disbelief. Yes, I don't love him anymore, Kira Lin answered without hesitation. Now, I only love myself. After saying that, she hung up the phone and then blocked Zoe Song's number. Lying on the sofa, Kira Lin looked at the ceiling, feeling completely at peace inside. She truly didn't love Dane Ji-yu anymore. After the betrayal and hurt from her past life, her love for him had long been exhausted. Now, she only wants to live for herself. The next day, Kira Lin went to work as usual. Manager Lee excitedly told her that the cooperation agreement with Stellar Investment had been drafted and was just waiting for her signature. President Lin, with this investment, our company can really take off, Manager Lee said excitedly. Yes, Kira Lin nodded. I've already thought of the next steps for our development plan. While they were discussing, the front desk called, President Lin, someone is here to see you. Who? A Mr. Ji-yu, Kira Lin frowned. Why is Dane Ji-yu here? Have him wait in the reception room. I'll be right there. She tidied up her appearance and headed toward the reception room. Pushing open the door, I saw Dane Ji-yu sitting on the sofa. He was still in his military uniform but looked somewhat haggard, with noticeable red streaks in his eyes. What are you here for? Kira Lin sat down opposite him, her tone cold. Dane Ji-yu looked up at her, a complex emotion flashing in his eyes. She had changed, becoming more beautiful, yet also more unfamiliar. I want to talk to you, he said, his voice somewhat hoarse. We have nothing to talk about, Kira Lin said coldly. Mr. Ji-yu, we are already divorced. Please don't come looking for me again in the future. Chapter 10. Dane Ji-yu looked at the woman before him. Feeling an indescribable pain in his heart, the once gentle and devoted Kira Lin had completely disappeared, replaced by this cold and unfamiliar businesswoman. Kira, I know I did many things wrong in the past. His voice was low, carrying a humility he had never shown before. I want to make amends. To start over, Kira Lin let out a cold laugh. Make amends? Dane Ji-yu, do you really think some things can be made up for? She stood up, walked to the window, and looked down at the bustling street below. You know what? I once considered you my entire world. For you, I could give up everything, including my dignity. But what did you give me? Dane Ji-yu opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. You gave me betrayal, humiliation, and despair. Kira Lin turned to look at him, her eyes devoid of any warmth. And now you're telling me we should start over? Dane Ji-yu, do you really think I'm still that foolish woman you could manipulate at will? I never betrayed you. Dane Ji-yu stood up and walked over to her. Nothing ever happened between me and Zoe Song. Nothing happened, Kira Lin sneered, pulling out her phone from her bag and playing a recording. Then how do you explain this? Zoe Song's sobbing voice came from the recording. Brother Dane, the doctor said I'm pregnant. This is your child. I know you can't get a divorce. I won't ask for anything. I just wanted to tell you. Then came Dane Gu's voice, somewhat flustered but still gentle as he comforted her. Zoe, don't cry. I'll take responsibility. Hearing this recording, Dane Gu's face instantly turned pale. This was impossible. He had never had a relationship with Zoe Song, let alone gotten her pregnant. This is fake, he hurriedly explained. Kira, this recording is fake. I never said these things. Is that so? Kira Lin put away her phone. Then explain why Zoe Song is currently at the Obstetrics and Gynecology Hospital for a prenatal checkup. She took a photo out of her bag and threw it on the table. In the photo, Zoe Song was wearing loose maternity clothes, with a clearly visible baby bump. Waiting in line at the hospital, Dane Ji-yu looked at the photo and was completely stunned. This couldn't be possible. How could Zoe Song be pregnant, and it looked like she was at least 5 or 6 months along? This can't be, he murmured. Impossible. Kira Lin sneered. Dane Ji-yu, at this point, are you still going to lie? Actually, all of these were fabricated by Kira Lin, the recording was synthesized using software, and the photos were photoshopped by someone she paid, but in the previous life, all of these were true. Song Kyu-ru did indeed carry Dane Gu's child, just a bit earlier than now. I really haven't done anything. Dane Ji-yu looked at her, his eyes filled with despair. Kira, you have to believe me, trust you. Kira Lin shook her head. Dane Ji-yu, I've given you too many chances already. It's over now. She walked back to her desk and picked up the documents on it. You should leave, I have work to attend to. Kira, Dane Ji-yu still wanted to say something. Security. Kira Lin pressed the intercom. Please escort this gentleman out. Soon, 2 security guards walked in. Sir, please leave, the security guard said politely but firmly. Dane Ji-yu looked at Kira Lin, who didn't even lift her head, focused on the documents in her hands as if he didn't exist at all. He had no choice but to leave helplessly. Kira Lin didn't look up until she heard the footsteps fade away. Gazing out the window, she felt not the anticipated satisfaction but a sense of emptiness. The revenge was complete, yet she felt no fulfillment. Perhaps true happiness lies not in revenge, but in living one's own life well. A month later, with the capital injection from Stellar Investment, Kira Lin's company developed rapidly. She rented the entire 20th floor as office space, and the number of employees grew to over 100. She herself was named Most Promising Female Entrepreneur of the Year by a business magazine and even graced the cover. That day, she was handling documents in the office when Manager Lee knocked and entered. President Lin, I have some good news for you, Manager Lee said with excitement. Our company has been selected to participate in next month's International Trade Expo. It's the highest level exhibition in the industry. Really, Kira Lin was also delighted. This is highly significant for our company's development. Yes, Manager Lee nodded. And the organizers have even invited you to attend the opening ceremony as a guest. Kira Lin nodded with satisfaction. Everything was moving in a positive direction. Just as she was speaking, the front desk called again. Ms. Lin. There's someone here to see you downstairs. Who? A military officer, said to be your friend. The receptionist's tone sounded a bit odd. Kira Lin frowned. Aside from Dane Ji-yu, she didn't know many military officers. Let him come up. A few minutes later, the office door was knocked. Kira Lin thought it was Dane Ji-yu, but a strange middle-aged military officer entered instead. You must be Ms. Kira Lin. The officer saluted. I am Director Jong from the Military District Discipline Inspection Commission. Kira Lin stood up. Director Jong, hello, please have a seat. Director Jong sat on the sofa with a serious expression. Ms. Lin, I came today to inquire about some matters. What is it? It's about Comrade Dane Ji-yu. Director Jong took out a voice recorder. We received a report alleging that Comrade Dane Ji-yu has issues with his personal conduct, including an improper relationship with a subordinate. Kira Lin's heart skipped a beat. Someone reported Dane Ji-yu. I would like to ask you, as a party involved, to explain the specific details. Director Jong continued. Kira Lin thought for a moment and sat down. Director Jong, what would you like to know? Does Comrade Dane Ji-yu have an improper relationship with Comrade Zoe Song? Kira Lin looked at him, calculating in her heart. This was an opportunity, a chance to completely bring down Dane Ji-yu. But then she reconsidered. She had already gained freedom and success, so why bother dwelling on the past? Director Jong, Dane Ji-yu and I are already divorced, she said calmly. His private life has nothing to do with me. I don't want to be involved in anything concerning him anymore. Director Jong was somewhat surprised. Ms. Lin, are you sure? If there is any relevant evidence. No, Kira Lin interrupted him. Director Jong, I just want to focus on my career now. Let the past be in the past." Looking at the blue sky outside the window, Kira Lin felt a sense of peace in her heart. She finally understood that true victory is not about defeating others, but about becoming a better version of oneself. From now on, she will live for herself and live a wonderful life that belongs to Kira Lin. The end.